Charlie, the NLF, the VC, Victor Charlie. Who were the Viet Cong? Basically, the Americans are facing two enemies. They're facing the green uniformed soldiers from North Vietnam, the North Vietnamese Army, the NVA. And then they're facing the Viet Cong, if you like, an irregular army that we normally imagine as being farmers dressed in black pajamas. In general, they could have been anyone. It was impossible for the Americans to tell friend from enemy, and even the most innocent looking person could be Viet Cong, because they were a hidden, secret army of local people. So quickly then, 5 W's and an H on the Viet Cong. Very simply, the Viet Cong were the people that America were fighting against in the south of Vietnam. But they fought for a variety of reasons, especially after 1965 when the Americans came in. A lot of them would have been local people in their own clothes, picking up a weapon at night time, setting an ambush, and then melting back into the population. So in that sense, the Viet Cong were almost everywhere, almost everybody. When Vietnam was split, after the French were kicked out, very simply, the communists, the fighters who fought the French in the north, they would be the Viet Minh. The ones who stayed in the south and were in the south when the country was partitioned would be the Viet Cong. You could call them the National Liberation Front. Pretty much the same thing, the Viet Cong. All of them are called, by their enemies, Viet Cong. Very, very simply, Viet Cong from the south being supplied by the North Vietnamese army from the north. The Viet Cong were local or they were regional. Some of them would have been ex-Viet Minh, some of them would have been committed communists, and they did all have communist instruction. But the reality is that many of them were nationalists, they were Vietnamese, and they were simply fighting against the foreign invader. Who were the Viet Cong? How did they fight? How did the Viet Cong fight? Hit and run tactics, guerrilla tactics, ambush, booby traps, avoiding direct open confrontation to try to make sure that the Americans couldn't use their huge advantage in firepower against these guerrillas, basically. They fought using classic guerrilla tactics, only changing this really in 1968 for the Tet Offensive, which was a massive turning point. It was a military defeat for the Viet Cong, but it was all televised, and so therefore it was a propaganda victory. It was a political victory for the Viet Cong. So tactics, ambush, hit and run. The only time that they veered from this was later on with the Tet Offensive. Why did they fight? Why did they fight? For a variety of reasons. Some of them would be young kids who have had brothers and sisters killed. Some would be adults who've had family killed. Some would be adults or children, women and children who just wanted to fight against a foreign invader. Some would have been committed communists. Some would have been ex-Viet Minh. In general, they were Southerners fighting against Diem and his American backers.